Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today I am going to be showing you the most recent updates to my fantasy team. So much has changed. I think there's only 5 players in this squad from my last one just a week ago. So although some of the same structures there, I have changed a lot and I'm excited to share this with you guys. I'm going to do this probably once a week just to show you how my team is growing and developing and what kind of changes I'm making, and hopefully by the end of it we'll have something really solid. But I'm really liking the team that I've got at the moment and I can't wait to show you guys. But yes guys, if you do enjoy this video, please do leave a like. I would really appreciate that. Massively help the channel out, and please do subscribe as well. I know a lot of you guys watching this video are not subscribed, so please if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor and subscribing, that would be awesome. So without further ado, let's start having a look at my team. So this time I've used all 100 million of my budget. I've spent it all, and I do want to warn you again guys, this draft has no Bruno in it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about how Bruno could potentially come into this team because it's not 100% fixed right now, and yeah, there are some different varieties of this team you could possibly do. So let's start off in goal anyway, and at the moment we're actually on Sanchez as the goalkeeper, and although I don't think Sanchez has a super high ceiling, now that we know that Lamptey is going to miss the first few games of the season, it's kind of like I do want to get a Brighton defender in there. I don't find many of the Brighton defenders too interesting, so I kind of thought, okay, if they're not really too interesting, let's just use the least interesting position, which is the goalkeeper, and use that for the goalkeeper slot. Obviously, I do much prefer Meslier over the course of the season, but unfortunately, his fixtures aren't amazing right at the start, and I do want to consider the fact that I probably will play a wild card at some point between sort of game week 7 and game week, I don't know, 15 or something like that. So I'll probably play my first wild card around there. So I do actually kind of want to target the first fixtures in terms of our goalkeeper, and then when we get to our first wild card, we'll go for a goalkeeper who we actually want to keep long term in this season as well there. So that's why I'm going for Sanchez in goal, and I do think there's going to be a few clean sheets. It's a fairly safe pick as well, and I don't want to take too many risks early on in the season. Just want to create a nice, flexible and safe team there. But there are going to be a few things what are quite interesting in this team, and the first thing that I think is quite interesting is my defense. So we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold in here, and I'm also going to pop a second player in this defence for you right now because it's Andy Robertson. So we're going to be going for both of the Liverpool fullbacks. Liverpool do have this fantastic run of fixtures at the beginning of the season. We do know that Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson just provide so much of the attacking creativity, set pieces as well in that Liverpool team. So it's going to be really good against some of these amazing fixtures, particularly this Norwich team. If they first came back in the Premier League, we know that there's going to be a few goals in here for Liverpool, and a lot of the kind of assists or maybe even goals are going to come from the pairing of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, and I've got them both. We also know that Liverpool have a much improved defensive roster this year. Konate's come in, Matip's back fit, Gomez is going to be coming back, we've got Van Dijk is going to be coming back. It's going to be probably Matip and Konate to start off the season, but that's a massive improvement for players like Henderson and Fabinho or Nat Phillips, who obviously did really well, but that's not the true defence that Liverpool we know are good for. They've been so successful in seasons gone by with these amazing defenders. So these amazing defenders are going to be coming back into this team, and it's going to give Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson so much more freedom to play their usual game and do even better than last year. And last year, particularly at the end of the season, Trent Alexander-Arnold over the last second half of the season was literally one of the top scoring players in the whole game. So these players are really players I'm really looking forward to seeing what they could do, and I think they're really good and safe options as well that are definitely going to get you some points. So I don't really mind spending that extra little bit of money in defence. If I change my mind a little bit as Liverpool's fixtures do start to dip, and they do start to dip kind of after for 5, 6, 7 game weeks, they do start to get worse, particularly when they play Man City. It's going to be a couple of months down the line, but we can start thinking about downgrading a Robertson to a Chilwell, because that's when Chelsea's really nice fixtures start coming up. So we can downgrade Robertson to a Chilwell and just stick with the one Liverpool defence from then on. But the only real difficult fixture in this opening run for Liverpool is Chelsea, and that's not usually known as a high-scoring game anyway, because of Chelsea. They don't really do high-scoring games, do they? So in that sense, that's going to be a really good double up to go for. And we're going to finish off the defence with Aït-Nouri, who, I've spoken a lot about, and I wasn't really sure where I was going to fit him in. Was he going to be benched, or was I just going to not play him for the first 3 game weeks? That was kind of going to be the plan. I was going to put him in my initial team, but because I don't really want to be spending transfers on 4.5 million defenders, it's not really a high quality, a high scoring position in my team structure. I didn't really want to do that. I didn't really want to use a transfer later. So I really had put in Aït-Nouri originally just to bring in from game week 4 onwards. And actually play him a little bit more from game week 4 onwards, where Wolves have this insane and quite long, nice run of fixtures, particularly from a defensive point of view. So that's going to be really nice. But he is going to go in for this first game against Leicester, and a great selling point to why I'm actually okay, why I'm pretty confident with playing him in this first game against Leicester, is the fact that Aït-Nouri, for a couple of pre-season friendlies in a row, he has actually been playing as a left winger. He's been playing as a left winger. So this is kind of because Neto is currently injured. We don't think Neto is going to be back until kind of September time, maybe. So in Neto's absence, it seems like from these pre-season friendlies, they're trying to get Aït-Nouri used to playing in the left wing position so he can cover that position, perhaps for the first few games of the season. So we're going to have a left winger, Aït-Nouri, for these first few games. So even though his first few games aren't amazing fixtures, Leicester's not too bad, it's not horrendous, but they're not amazing fixtures for Wolves. We do have a defender who's going to be playing out of position in left wing just for those first few games, and then after that, the fixtures look amazing, even if Aït-Nouri drops back into the left-back position, which I do think he will be the first choice for. Maybe he doesn't play every single game, but if he's sort of playing 75% of games, that's absolutely fine. I do have a second 4.5 million defender on the bench who I am going to be rotating with Aït-Nouri, but yeah, that's going to be really good for me for the first game, and then we'll use our 4.5 million defender on the bench for game week 2, game week 3, and then we can think about doing some rotations there that look quite nice, I think. Anyway, so let's move on into midfield anyway. We've of course got Salah. I don't want to talk about Salah too much because you guys know he's been in every single one of my drafts, and I've spoken about him to no end. I think he's the most important player you can have in your fantasy team this year in game week 1. I just would not be risking going without him. It's just not... It's not sensible. Like, obviously, if you guys like to take a risk, then you can go without Salah, but it's not for me. It's not for me. So we're just gonna stick Salah in. There's no way he leaves my team. He is going to be in my game week 1 draft. That is for sure. But come deadline, he's going to be there. There's no doubt about that. But the next couple of players are kind of quite interesting, and this is where the flexibility comes in. So my next midfielder is currently De Bruyne. Now, you don't need me to tell you that De Bruyne could easily switch with Bruno Fernandes if I change my mind, but I'm kind of in two minds a little bit about this and what I'm going to do here. Now, De Bruyne, I know a lot of you guys are going to be a little bit concerned about his injury record of recently. He has become a little bit injury prone, but when he is fit and he is playing, no one's really, hardly anyone anyway, is matching him for expected points per game. Yes, he kind of fell slightly short last season, but he still had an amazing season. Whenever he was playing, he had he was doing so much. He's playing a much more attacking role last season. His expected goals per 90 rocketed up last season when he was playing, because he's playing a much more advanced role. He is shooting more as well, and his creative stats are just unmatched, other than by players like Trent Alexander-Arnold might just about match it. But De Bruyne's attacking numbers are just fantastic. And yes, I could argue similar things with Bruno Fernandes. I could argue very similar things, but I do have a couple of concerns about Bruno Fernandes that I'm not 100% sure yet. And like I said, I have concerns about De Bruyne too, which is why we will make this decision later when we hear more about injuries and stuff and how De Bruyne is getting on. Is he going to be fit to play every single game? I don't mind. He's not going to be a set and forget player. Don't get me wrong. He is going to be switched out for other premiums as the season goes on. That's going to be the kind of playing style that I'm going to go for, just to keep switching the premiums to get good captain options on each given game week. Obviously, Man City against Norwich in game week 2 is a reason why I do want a Man City player here, in particular for that captaincy. But Bruno, is he going to be playing slightly deeper this season? There are rumours that he might do. Obviously, we'll keep tabs on pre-season to see what's exactly going on there. Is some of the creative burden going to be taken away from Bruno as Sancho comes into the team? You would probably say so, that now there's 2 creators in the team, or 2 major creators anyway, and depending on where Pogba's going to fit into this team as well, if he remains at Manchester United, then maybe he becomes a bit more of a creator as well. So, yeah, not really sure if Bruno's going to have as much of an important role in this Manchester United side as another star comes into this team. I guess is the best way of saying that. And also, there's the penalty issue, and I know This is a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people are divided on this issue. And I'm not gonna go one side of the fence or the other. The fact is that last season Manchester United got a lot of penalties, and Bruyne was able to take a lot of penalties, which is fantastic for FPL points. Absolutely fantastic. We absolutely love that. However, we have seen in the past where a team will get lots of penalties one season. Crystal Palace a couple of seasons ago, that rings a bell. Milivojevic scored something like 10 penalties in one season. It might have even been more than that. It was an absolutely insane amount of penalties across the season, maybe like 12 or something, something stupid. Maybe someone in the comments has the exact number on that one. I'm just kind of speaking from memory. But after that, the season after that, everyone was like, okay, we've got to put Milivojevic in our drafts because, look how many, Zaha is winning all these penalties and Milivojevic is taking all these penalties. So this nice combo of Milivojevic scoring penalties for, a fairly cheap midfielder, and Zaha is winning all these penalties as well. Next season, it didn't really happen. It kind of regressed to the mean a little bit. It regressed to average. So just because a team gets a lot of penalties in one season, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get a lot of penalties in the subsequent seasons. Like, obviously, Manchester United are a team that does get a fair few penalties, but is it going to happen to the same quantity? And you are going to kind of need that same quantity of penalties being awarded to Manchester United in order for Bruno Fernandes to be worth the money he is this year, because he's very expensive this year as well. 12 million. That's sort of the second highest price a player can be, really. So it's a big investment, and I'm not saying it's a bad investment at all. I think Bruno is still a very, very, very good pick, but I'm just kind of on the fence as to whether he is absolutely necessary. And a fully fit De Bruyne, and we don't know if we've got a fully fit De Bruyne. I think that he slightly edges it over Bruno, particularly with potentially playing a deeper role, potentially, Sancho taking a little bit of creative burden, potentially not getting as many penalties. All these factors might actually just move Bruno's points potential just down a little bit, whilst his price has gone up a little bit. So, maybe it feels a little bit offset there. Not sure yet, but we'll do some research. We'll follow the preseason and we'll see what's going on there. But my next pick here, sorry for going on about that one a little bit too much, but maybe you found that conversation useful, I guess. But my next pick is Barnes here in midfield. And this is another way where we could potentially move things around a little bit. But I have got Harvey Barnes. I do expect for him to come straight back into the team. He's one of Leicester's best players, really. And I think when Barnes is fit, he plays, right? He plays. I don't know exactly how Leicester are going to set up in this coming season, but you would assume that whatever is the case, particularly if Leicester do manage to find a right winger, they do seem to be looking for another right winger right now, that maybe there is a three forwards formation with, who knows who's going to play at the striker. Is this going to mean Iheanacho moves to the right wing maybe, but is Barnes going to be maybe playing behind the strikers as a 10, possibly? So we don't know exactly sure how it's going to line up, but what you would say is that whatever is the case, Barnes has got to play, and Leicester do have some really nice opening fixtures that I'd quite like to get involved in. But I'm not 100% sure on this one either, and this is another area I'm not 100% sure on. So this combo of De Bruyne and Barnes, this could very easily potentially be swapped for the exact same money. I can have Mahrez and Heung-min Son. So we could potentially go down that route. So we've got the Man City cover for game week 2. We've got Son, who actually, although Son will play Man City in the opening game, Son has a decent record against Man City. And a lot of people will say, well, Kane's not going to be playing in this game no matter where he is. He's getting the extended rest after the Euros. But wherever Kane ends up, if he ends up at Manchester City, for example, does that make Son worse? A lot of people think Kane-Son combo is so important that they have each other, but the stats literally tell a different story, particularly if Son is playing out of position as a striker. Son, actually performs slightly better than he does when he's with Kane. So he's still a really, really attractive kind of guy there. And yes, you can say he really overperformed last season, but he overperforms every single season. He is a very, very clinical player who will always make good on half chances. He always has done that. He's done that for years. His points total was the 4th highest last season. Maybe you could say, oh, that was a little bit high, wasn't it? That was a little bit high. Surely he can't do that again. But in previous seasons, the reason why he hasn't really matched that point total is because he hasn't been fit full season. So whenever he's fit, he's always operated at this level in terms of FPL points. So when he's fit, when he's ready to go, he's an excellent player to have in your team, and we've seen that season after season. And if it does turn out that Kane leaves, Tottenham are unable to find an adequate replacement of that kind of quality, Son potentially takes the reins of being a central striker, or or even if he does play on the wing, it's fine still. But if he plays as a striker, he could be really, really attractive as well. And we know Mahrez is fantastic. I think Mahrez is going to benefit from Kane being at the club as well. So, yeah, the only risk with Mahrez is that rotation risk, isn't it? So we'll see about that. But that's just another option I can go for. So we could replace De Bruyne with Bruno, or we can replace both De Bruyne and Barnes with Mahrez and Son. And that is probably the last decision I need to make in this particular draft. Obviously, things will continue to change, obviously. But yeah, that's a big decision to be made in this team structure. So there we go. Finally, we finish off the midfield with Rafinha, who again has been in every single one of my drafts, so I won't speak about him too much. But previously, I have been a little bit concerned about Rafinha's initial fixture, but we now know that Luke Shaw is going to be out. Alex Telles is going to be out for this game week 1. So who's Rafinha going to be up against? Well, he's going to be up against Williams. So maybe that's going to be a really good matchup for Rafinha to potentially do some damage there. To be fair, so yeah, it could be quite nice. He's one of the best. I'll say it. One of the best players in the league. I truly believe Rafinha is one of the best players in the league, and he is going to be matched up against a young, not so experienced, I guess, defender there for Manchester United, who could get exposed. A lot of the Manchester United team went very deep into the Euros, and might be a little bit fatigued, not had the full pre-season. Anyway, we'll go up front. Ollie Watkins is in the team as usual. He's been in every draft, so I won't dwell on him too much, but I think he's going to be one of the most important players in the first 3 game weeks, particularly where Aston Villa have these fabulous 3 opening fixtures. And we've kind of seen in friendlies already that this link up between Buendia and Watkins is already looking beautiful. So Buendia, the creative machine behind Watkins, I love it. I absolutely love it. So Watkins is a really safe player. He plays 90 minutes every single game. He's going to be playing every single game for Aston Villa. He's just a fantastic player to have, and a really safe bet. So it allows us to be a little bit riskier with our other strikers. So, Antonio. Antonio is not a seasoned keeper, but when he is fit, he is fantastic. We know this, guys, by now. He's absolutely amazing, isn't he? He's just insane. I'll never forget the time I brought him in on using my free transfer, and then he scored 4 goals that game week against Norwich. Absolutely incredible, absolute scenes. And so yeah, that's a Antonio highlight for me and my FPL life, I suppose. So yeah, that was really good. And we're going to finish off the strike force with Tony, which I've been kind of skeptical about in the past. I think I've kind of been a little bit worried after last season with Mitrovic. I've been kind of worried about going for newly promoted strikers this year. I kind of don't want to repeat same mistakes from last year. But then I kind of thought about it some more, did some more research, and kind of came to the conclusion that I shouldn't make sweeping statements about every single promoted striker. I can't put them all in the same boat, the same category, because they are different players, very different players with different qualities, and they're going to perform differently in the Premier League. And ultimately, after a bit of research, like I said, I kind of found out that newly promoted strikers usually come up into the Premier League. So, and however many goals they scored last season in the Championship, they'll score about half of that goal total in the Premier League. So what's that for Tony? Well, 31 goals last year. So we're talking 15 goals in the Premier League this year. Will he actually achieve that? I don't know. But the fact that he scored 31 goals last year, rule of thumb is about 50% goals scored this year. That's the average of promoted strikers as they come into the Premier League. 15 goals would be absolutely amazing. But even if he gets something like 12 goals and, he got 11 assists or 10 assists last season as well. I think it was 10 assists last season in the Championship as well. So if he gets 5 assists, 12, 13 goals in the season, then that makes him an absolutely fantastic pick. Brentford do have some nice fixtures at the beginning of the season as well, and for 6.5 million, I just don't think you can really go wrong with that. And if it doesn't play, then it's absolutely fine. There are some other options we can go for around that price point as well, so it's nothing worth worrying about too much. But yeah, we are going to give him a go. We are going to give Tony a go. And everyone else has him anyway, so if it doesn't work out, everyone fails at the same time, and I haven't lost anything, I suppose. So there you go, guys. Quickly on the bench, Foster, just a normal bench for the keeper. We've got Ayling, who's going to be my rotating defender with Nori. We've got Brownhill, who I identified as the best 4.5 million midfielder in my last video. Go check that out if you'd like to. And then finally, Omobamidele, who looks to me like the most likely to start out of the 4 million defenders. I know some of the other centre-backs at Norwich are coming back to fitness now, but Omobamidele is still... he's playing in some friendly games, so I don't know. I feel like he is going to be given a chance, some kind of chance, maybe, hopefully. So yeah, that's just kind of a prediction, but it's very unlikely that I will ever actually have to use that final defender there. So, unless another 4 million defender arises, then whatever, we'll just leave it like that, won't we? And make sure we're using the most of our money in that starting 11, really, and the one rotating defender who we can rotate a little bit. And then Brownhill. He's okay as well. So there we go, guys. Quickly on captains. Well, Salah is obviously going to be the captain. Vice captain on De Bruyne because he's De Bruyne. I think that makes sense. And there we go, guys. That is the team. What do you think about that? It looks pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of flexibility here. I can pretty much get to any player in the whole game if I wanted to do it within 2 transfers. So you say I wanted Kane, for example. That's a very easy switch. We'll just take out, Watkins or Antonio out, De Bruyne out, replace De Bruyne with, around 6.5 million. Midfielder or something like that. We can upgrade one of the strikers to Kane, for example. And then we can do similar things in any position. Robertson can come down to a Creswell or a Chilwell or whoever I want to do there. De Bruyne or Salah can switch to another premium midfielder. We can take a Son. We could take a Bruno Fernandes. Very, very flexible. And we've got kind of expensive and cheap players in every single position. So it does give you that flexibility there, which is the most important thing at the start of the season, because after a few weeks, we're just going to think, wow, I didn't expect this player to do well. I really want him in my team. This player we really thought was going to do really well, but it turns out they're doing really, really badly. And we're going to want to have that flexibility to adapt to the new meta of the new season and see what's going on with it. There definitely will be a lot of changes. So, being flexible is really, really important, and being able to get to whatever player you can in the game. So there we go, guys. That's my team. Thank you for watching this video very much. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe, of course, if you are new around here. I will really appreciate that, guys. I know someone's going to put it in the comments, so I may as well address it. Yes, I have had a haircut. Finally, new season, new hairdo, I guess. So here we go. And yes, I also do look like Francisco Trincao. So let's get that out of the way, because I can already tell. I can smell your comments from here, guys. It's absolutely fine. But yeah, guys, that's just about it. Loads more FPL content to come, as always. You can follow me on Twitter at FPLmate if you want to join my mini league. The link is in the description. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.